Mike Vrabel is really about to come in here and change the New England Patriots from a playing standpoint, from a culture standpoint, and I don't think that people are giving this hiring enough credit. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Colby, also known as Patriots Global, back here with another video. I appreciate you guys for clicking on today's video to hear me talk about some Patriots news. Today's video brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you a little bit later how you can have some extra fun with the Super Bowl just right around the bend. But the Mike Vrabel era in New England is officially here, and I think it's already making its impact. And a lot of people were back and forth between Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson. What route did the New England Patriots go? Some Patriots fans kind of having PTSD from Gerard Mayo and just wanting to officially move on from not just the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady era, but just the old days of the New England Patriots. They want to completely scrap the old days and have something new in the building. But there is a reason that Mike Vrabel was the hottest head coach candidate in this pool and in this cycle. And I think that for a reason. I just don't think enough fans are giving the credit to what Mike Vrabel is going to do and how he's going to change the culture. And today, I want to break down some of the things he said just a few days ago in his press conference that kind of dictate how he's going to build this culture, the philosophies of this team, and what it's going to be built on, and why Patriots fans should be excited for the future. Now, the first thing I want to touch upon here is that Robert Kraft said during the interview process that Mike Vrabel had a deep understanding of the current Patriots team and a clear focus strategy of how to get the team back into championship caliber. To me, this solidifies that little tinfoil hat theory that I've been telling you guys about for a few weeks. And that's the fact that I think Mike Vrabel wanted this Patriots head coaching job for a long time. I think that this time last year, when Gerard Mayo was hired, that Mike Vrabel wanted to coach for the Patriots. And I think that Robert Kraft even had a level of interest in bringing Mike Vrabel aboard. I think that Robert Kraft, quite honestly, didn't think that Mike Vrabel was going to be released from the Tennessee Titans. We were all shocked when Mike Vrabel was released from the Tennessee Titans. But it was already in Gerard Mayo's contract that he was going to be the successor to Bill Belichick when Bill Belichick stepped away. That's why the Patriots didn't do a head coaching search. They didn't do the process right because it was already in Gerard Mayo's contract. And I wonder if Mike Vrabel said, I'm going to take the year off. No matter what opportunities come to me, I'm going to take the year off from coaching, or at least from being a head coach. Because if Gerard Mayo doesn't work out for the Patriots, I can then come in with years of experience under my belt. I'm going to go out during this 2024 season and get some experience on the opposite side of the football, build my repertoire, build my connections, and if things don't work out with Mayo in New England, then I can take over for that franchise. Now, if Mayo does work out, then I can just take this experience and go coach for another team. We know that when Mike Vrabel came in for, his red coat ceremony, Hall of Fame induction for the Patriots, that it was a clear place that he wanted to be. And he talked about just how special it is in New England. In fact, one of the reasons that Mike Vrabel was let go as the head coach for the Tennessee Titans was because they hated just how close he was still with the New England Patriots organization. I mean, Mike Vrabel came out just a couple of days after being hired and was able to tell us specific players, their strengths, their weaknesses, how to utilize them, what they need to improve on. That's not something he learned overnight. That's not something he learned over the last few days. Mike Vrabel has been keeping a close eye on the New England Patriots organization, on the players, on the direction, and I think that's really going to help them hit the ground running. A lot of people had some uncertainty, some questions on, well, if you hire a new head coach, doesn't the process kind of restart itself? Doesn't it slow itself down because you're doing everything all over again? And to a degree, yes. But to another degree, I think it's very clear that Mike Vrabel has a deep understanding, like Robert Kraft said, about the current state and players that the team has. Now, another big thing that he said that I wanted to touch upon was Mike Vrabel was asked what made the Patriots head coaching job so appealing. And he said, and I quote, young, dynamic quarterback in Drake May. Okay, a lot of Patriots fans, they didn't want Mike Vrabel for the lone fact of, oh, well, when he was the head coach for the Tennessee Titans, it was ran under Derrick Henry. They didn't care much about the quarterback. It was a run-centric, run-first offense. We don't want that. And I completely understand it, right? Your biggest investment last year was the third overall pick in Drake May. It came out over the last few weeks that multiple NFL executives believe that Drake May can easily be a top 3 to top 5 quarterback in the NFL. This is also a generation of the NFL where it is a offensive-minded league. It is a pass-first league. You have to be able to pass down the field, do it effectively and efficiently on a game-to-game basis if you're going to win games, if you're going to go to championships. But even after being hired by the Patriots on WEEI on the Patriots YouTube channel, Mike Vrabel was asked about that exact narrative. Being told, well, Patriots fans are kind of concerned because you ran your offense through Derrick Henry. And he was like, we had to run our offense through Derrick Henry because that was our premier player. Okay, we have to keep in mind that good quarterbacks are very, very, very hard to come across. That's why I said that this past season was purely based off of the quarterback position. If the Patriots hit on Drake May, they know that they had a future and a franchise guy. No matter if they won games, lost games, whatever the record was, that it was going to be a successful season based off of what happens at the quarterback position. You need a good quarterback to succeed in today's NFL because those guys are a dime a dozen rather. They just do not come across all that often. And Mike Vrabel, he had Marcus Mariota, he had Ryan Tannehill, but then he had Derrick Henry, right? He had 2 bust of quarterbacks, but then he had a generational running back in Derrick Henry, who wasn't just one, if not the best running back on a year-to-year basis, but is one of the best running backs that we have seen in NFL history. No duh, he was running the offense through Derrick Henry. That's exactly what he should have done, considering the Tennessee Titans never got their hands on a premier quarterback. So just hearing the fact that Mike Vrabel understands how an offense needs to succeed in today's NFL and understands looking at the Patriots where their strengths are going to be offensively and how they're going to succeed, what the identity of not just the offense, but the team in general is going to be, I think is very, very important and should definitely ease some of the worries and concerns for Patriots fans. Now, this next one, you guys, I'm not going to lie. I just about stood up, bawled my eyes out, and clapped my hands for the next 12 hours because Mike Vrabel was asked about filling holes on the Patriots roster, and he said, and I quote, that it is critical to build the Patriots trenches up, mainly talking about the offensive line and pass protection. Can we get an applause up in here real quick? Thank you, Mike Vrabel, for finally coming in and doing what not just I have said, but the media has said, what fans have said for the last several years. Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo. This is now the 3rd coach who has come in who now finally understands the strengths of our team, the weaknesses of our team, and what needs to be improved upon. I cannot tell you how bad I have started to lose my mind that the Patriots would go out and not play to their strengths. They would find different ways to try to succeed. They would ignore their biggest holes, their biggest weaknesses. And sometimes the most obvious thing is the correct thing. In fact, I've also been telling you guys for months that the blueprint for the Patriots was to take things on a year-to-year basis. That's why I said it's about a 2 to 3 year rebuild. Year 1, you focus on getting your quarterback. They did that with Drake May. Year 2, you focus on building up the trenches, the offensive line, the defensive line, because the trenches are the second most important thing in football right behind the quarterback position. Ironically, when Bill Belichick was fired, the Patriots were lacking most at quarterback and in the trenches. The Patriots had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL during the 2023 season under Bill Belichick, but they had the worst pass blocking offensive line according to every single NFL metric. This past season, I don't know how, but it somehow got even worse. The Patriots had the worst offensive line in the NFL through the entire regular season. They had the worst pass blocking offensive line yet again, according to every single pass blocking metric, and we're trending down to historically having one of the worst offensive lines that the NFL has ever seen. I have made it so damn clear in the past that offensively, if you are going to succeed, you need to have a good offensive line. We have seen that with Drake May. He can excel in offense past his limitations. He can make the receivers look better. Those receivers just need time to get through their progressions, to get in and out through their breaks, have a couple of extra seconds to actually get open. And Drake May needs to have enough time to get through his progressions, get through his dropbacks, and have a clean enough pocket to be able to actually extend the offense past his limitation. If he's getting blitzed or he has 3 defenders in his face as soon as the ball is snapped, he's not going to be able to get that ball out. He's not going to be able to extend anything past anything. Even on top of that, when it comes to the offensive line, we're not just talking about getting your return on investment for Drake May, for the wide receivers, But if you think about it, the second biggest investment that New England made after Drake May last year was the running backs. You extend Ramondre Stevenson to a multi-year deal. You go out in free agency, you sign Antonio Gibson to a multi-year deal. Your running backs are only going to succeed if the guys up front are actually going to block for them. Okay, there were some inconsistencies with the backs for sure, but a lot of times there were 2, 3+ defenders in those guys' face as soon as the ball was handed off to them. No duh, they're not succeeding. I mean, if you look at some of the best teams in the NFL offensively, those just so happen to be the teams that also have the best offensive lines. The Bills have one of the best offensive lines. The Chiefs have one of the best offensive lines. The Lions have one of the best offensive lines. It isn't the sexiest thing to go out and get an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, but if you want overall success for your team offensively or defensively, then the trenches are absolutely necessary to build. Even from a defensive standpoint, this past season, the Patriots had one of the worst run-stopping defenses in the entire National Football League. They also just so happen to have one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL. Again, all coming back down to the trenches. If I'm the Patriots, I'm Mike Vrabel, I'm Elliott Wolf, I am going all in on the trenches this offseason, okay? If you can get a wide receiver one, you absolutely do it, right? But my biggest priority, again, is the O-line, is the D-line. And then next offseason in year 3, you worry about filling up the other positions. If you want to take a tight end in the first round next year, if you build up the trenches, you can do so. You want to go the Detroit Lions route and take a running back in the first round next year, once you build up the trenches, you can do so. Right now, though, focus on the biggest priority, which again is your O-line and your D-line. Before we continue on today's video, though, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video over at BetUS. Right now, when you guys sign up using their app or their website, you will be locked into a limited time exclusive offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125 on your next 2, all the way up to $2,000. That is a deal on your first 3 deposits right now, which no other sportsbook is doing. I can promise you that. The deal doesn't just stop there because BetUS is also giving you 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year. They have the best betting variety in the business. So, hey, this is the best time to go ahead and bet on the Super Bowl, bet on the playoffs. But if you're a Patriots fan and you're saying, you know what, if my team's not, in the postseason, I don't care to bet on them, that's 100% okay. But there are other Boston sports that you can bet on. You can bet on the Red Sox. You can bet on the Bruins. You can bet on the Celtics. This deal goes for everything that BetUS has when it comes to their betting variety. And again, they do have the best betting variety in the business. College football, horse racing, fighting, entertainment, politics, you name it, BetUS is going to have it. But play smart, play responsible, never bet more than you can afford to lose, but a massive, massive shout out to BetUS. But now I want to quickly hit on a little bit on the philosophies of Mike Vrabel and how he's going to build this team, how he wants to build up his coaching staff to ultimately coach his players. And Mike Vrabel said that he has 3 simple objectives for his coordinators. He says he wants his coaching staff to teach, develop, and inspire by making a connection. He also says that it's important for him and his coaches to know their players and what makes them tick outside of football. One of my favorite things that I heard Mike Vrabel say during his press conferences, during his interviews with the media after he was hired by the Patriots was, if he can tell that his guys are wearing their heart on their sleeves and that something is wrong, something is not right with them coming into practice, he's going to pull them aside, he's going to talk to them, and he's going to say, hey, go take the next 45 minutes. Hour and a half, and go take care of whatever it is that you need to go take care of so that you can come back to the practice field and be locked in and be ready. That's going to be what's best for the player, the other players, and really just the overall success for the team. He said he'd rather his player go out there and take, that 45 minutes, hour and a half to take care of what they need to and come back focused rather than being mentally checked out for the entirety of practice. And after hearing Vrabel say that, I never felt more confident that he is going to be this beautiful mix between Bill Belichick and Gerard Mayo. The Patriots always needed a middle between the two, but they had Belichick all the way over to the right, and they had Gerard Mayo all the way over to the left. Bill Belichick was the type of coach who was hard-nosed, he was disciplined, but a lot of times you question, how much does he truly care about the players and building that connection with the players? And then you had Gerard Mayo, who wasn't a hard-nosed football, didn't really know the philosophy, didn't really know what he was doing from a football standpoint, but the players absolutely loved him. They had a connection, and they felt like he actually cared about them. Vrabel's kind of going to come in and be that dad who loves you, but is also going to be that type of dad that loves you through tough love. Now, we touched a little bit on what he's going to ask his coaching staff to be, what the philosophies and identity of the staff will be, but what is he going to expect when it comes from the players? Mike Vrabel said, we are going to ask our players to do a few things. One is put the team first, to know what to do, and to play fast and aggressive. But what I loved most about what he said from the expectations from a player standpoint was saying, we are going to remove entitlement from our football team. We are going to earn the right to be here every single day. He also said that the culture is going to be built on winning, a competitive spirit through our roster, and the ability to put the team first and care about somebody other than yourself. What was the biggest problem for the Patriots last year? A lack of discipline, right? What did that lack of discipline lead to? It led to a lot of players, more specifically these young players, these first and second year players, thinking that they were above everybody else, especially this wide receiver group. And that was my first thought when I heard those quotes was, Mike Vrabel, he knows the Patriots roster. And when he was saying that, I'm sure he had this wide receiver group in his mind. I mean, Kayshon Boutte going out there saying he has the best hands, but not living up to the expectations, posting on social media. Jalen Polk doing the same thing. Javon Baker, I'm going to make people in wheelchairs stand up, grab your popcorn, but he's out here posting on social media, right? How many times did we see these wide receivers, including Tyquan Thornton, who obviously isn't on the team, but just goes to show some of the issues that the team overall was having? And I said this last year when all this was happening, that the players just need an identity. They need a direction, right? Because if they're going to go out there and they're going to act up, even when Ramondre Stevenson was out there fumbling 7 times on the season, lost 3 fumbles, we were told that he was going to be benched, and then ultimately he wasn't. They never had a direction. They never believed in consequences. Gerard Mayo was basically that parent who went out and would be like, if you don't, do this, I'm going to ground you. But then they do it, and he still doesn't ground them. He just gives them a slap on the wrist, and that's it. Mike Vrabel is going to be that parent that if he says he's going to ground you if you don't do something and you don't do it, he will ground you. What New England needs is that they need to get everybody back on the same page, playing for the players to their right, to their left, and start playing cohesively as a unit. Not individual players caring about how they look, not individual players caring about their opportunities or lighting up the stat sheet or getting that next big contract. Because if that's the mentality, then your guys aren't working together. And if you're not working together as a unit, everybody's on different pages. It messes up the chemistry. And overall, you're just not going to get the production that you could with your overall potential. When it comes to the expectations for the season, I honestly think that Mike Vrabel hit it perfectly. He said, we just want to be good enough to take advantage of bad teams. Basically, what we asked the Patriots to do this past season, and ultimately, they could not do. How many more wins would the Patriots have had this past year if they were just able to beat up on those bad teams? I think Vrabel understands that the Patriots have probably the least talented roster in the NFL, and it is going to take time because you need talent to actually win football games. So early on, just that ability with the talent they have as they develop with a good coaching staff to just beat those bad teams. And luckily enough for the Patriots, they are playing some pretty rough teams next year. And the last thing, too, that I'll say about this is I don't think that any Patriots fan should be out here worrying about Mike Vrabel being a defensive-minded coach, because when it comes to being a head coach, it doesn't matter if you're a special teams coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. What you're asked to do as a head coach is wildly different than what you're asked to do as a coordinator. And Mike Vrabel went out this past season, and instead of taking a head coaching job, he decided to build up that repertoire. And he went with the Cleveland Browns. He worked as an offensive consultant. He's never worked with the offense before, but said, I want to add to the repertoire on both sides of the football, not just defense, but also offense. And he went to Cleveland this past year, and he worked with the offensive line, going back to the idea of trenches, but also worked with the tight ends. So now he's coming in here for the first time in his coaching career, and really his just football career in general, and now understands both sides of the football, which I think adds more value for him as a coach. And you know what? Taylor Lewan, the former tackle for the Tennessee Titans while Mike Vrabel was coaching for the Titans, said it best. When Mike Vrabel was hired for the New England Patriots, Taylor Lewan came out immediately on social media and had some things to say about it. He said, and I quote, "The culture is going to be incredible. You guys are going to win games, those tough one-score games. You guys are going to win them. That's how Mike Vrabel works. That guy is going to have his team knowing the ins and outs." He also said, if you're a player, keep your head on an effing swivel because the challenges that Mike Vrabel will ultimately throw your way. He also says that you need to understand that things are going to get really hard for a little bit, and that's going to be okay. But just know you're going to go into hell for a little bit. You're going to be sitting there in the locker room. You're in your small groups wondering, who the F is this guy? Why is he talking to us like this? Why does he think that he's better than us? Yeah, he played in the league, whatever. By the way, in the first team meetings, he's going to tell you how many games he played in the league, and he's going to reference it forever. Not a bad thing, boys. I'm telling you, it's going to work out. I was a part of it. Well, I was in those small little groups, and you start to get away from it, and yeah, this dude knows what the F he's talking about. Which I think ultimately is Taylor Lewan coming out saying that, you know what, Vrabel, he's a tough coach. He's going to be hard on you. You're not going to like it at first. You're going to ask yourself, who the hell does this guy think he is, coming in as a first-year head coach for the New England Patriots, talking to us like this? But over time, you're going to see that he's going to put you in a position to succeed. He's going to tell you things, and as long as you execute it, you're going to sit there and say, oh my God, everything he told me is exactly what happened on game day. Exactly what Bill Belichick would do, and part of what made him so great. But guys, this is where I kick it to you. What are your thoughts on Mike Vrabel coming to the New England Patriots, the identity, the culture he's trying to build, and the philosophies that he is trying to set for the organization? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video, and of course, subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. Appreciate you guys for watching, and of course, go Pats.